So I wanted to invite these two guys to get on the stage and look at you in the face and go, guys, you have the MLS, you know the neighborhood, knock on the door, get the investment for yourself. Please, everybody, help me welcome Gabe and Mike to the stage.
Doing. So, all right, I know it's, if you guys, I want to teach you guys a little bit about investments, but I want you guys to get a little bit excited. I know it's the end of the day. So if you guys can, for a quick minute, can you stand up just for a quick minute so we can put some energy to this? All right, all right. So who here wants to learn how to make money investing in real estate? All right, awesome. So I want you to turn to your neighbor and say, you rock. All right, cool. So, all right, I want to get you guys in a good space and kind of share with you what we do and how we do it. My name is Mike Venereo. I'm the owner of Rockwood Investment Group, and at the same time, if you guys want, you can sit down. Thank you for standing up the whole time. That was awesome. You know, I'm the owner of Rockwood Investment Group, which is an investment firm here in South Florida, and I'm also the co-founder of PrivateLender.com. This is my partner and my attorney in real estate. His name is Gabriel Bodner. If he wants to introduce himself.
Well, you already heard the name, but obviously you know who brings the energy here. That's me, right? I mean, it's obvious. Mike, please, bring it up a notch.
Oh, in the stage? Got it. Thank you. All right, guys, so what we're going to go over is we want to show you guys different creative ways for you guys to learn how to, not only if you want to get into the investment space, but also learn how to make bigger commissions or extra commissions by working with investors. I don't know who you here actually works with investors. Does anybody work with investors right now? Any cash investor agents? All right, awesome. So you guys understand how it works. So the name of everything is called Act Like an Agent, Think Like an Investor. I'm going to learn how to use this really quick. Maybe not. All right, there you go. So, as we said a little earlier, Rockwood Investments and Private Lenders are the two companies that we want to share with you guys about today. That's who we are. Been in the business myself for about 3 years, and we've done about over 250 transactions, so we're not new to the game. We're very creative, and I want to share with you guys on actually how I got in. So you guys, if you think, can you make it happen, you got to think like Marshall Silver said, right? If you decide to make it happen, it'll get done. So I'll share with you guys how I actually met this guy. Remember, I went to a seminar just like this, and I was sitting down next to him, and I had read a couple of books on wholesaling. Does anybody know what wholesaling is? Yeah? Great side of the business. But I'm in there, I really didn't know. I hadn't done a deal yet. And he's sitting right next to me. He's an attorney for real estate. And I start talking to him about, hey, I'm going to become a wholesaler. I'm going to get into investments. I'm going to buy real estate. And he's like, oh, cool, that's awesome. I would like you to win your business. Unfortunately, he didn't know that I had never done any business, but I thought to myself, who better to learn how to do assignments and double closes than through an attorney? So I use the word all the time. I bamboozled him to teach me through the process. I had told him, yeah, man, we do a bunch of deals. We do a bunch of inventory. You know, I don't know if I'm going to give you all my business because I have another attorney I work with, but let me find out. Tell me a little bit more about your strategy on how do you do a double close. So for anybody that's thinking, I want to invest, guys, don't be afraid of it. Jump in. You got to jump in and get creative on figuring out ways. Now, after our first deal, I remember I called him and I told him, hey, man, Gabriel, I want to thank you because I did my actual first wholesale because of you. And he's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, yeah, I didn't know what I was doing, man. It was one of my first events, one of my first seminars. I wanted to get into it. So if you're afraid of it or you're wondering, should I buy a house to fix and flip it or anything like that, guys, find the right people, get involved, and you'll start getting you'll start learning through the process. So I want to show you a couple of things, the value of working with an investor versus working with a traditional real estate agent, right? I mean, a traditional buyer. The reason I say that is because with the traditional buyer, how many times do you sell that person a house? Most of the time, just once. And then you got to work that referral business, right? But unfortunately, not always do you get those referrals. When you work with an investor, let's say like us, you know, you're going to constantly, or you're going to be the investor at some point, right? You're going to do multiple deals throughout the year. And so the good thing about you guys learning how to work with investors is as a cash transaction, most of the time, we'll do on the low side 3 deals a year, on the high side about 40 to 50 deals a year, right? So think about it. If you're an agent and you're not working with investors, I recommend you guys to actually go out there and start learning that. Because, like I said, we will buy multiple deals that year. Not only do you get paid on the purchase side, if you do the right job of following up, when they remodel that home, who do you think they're going to sell that with again? With you guys. So you got to also understand, and we're going to show you guys creative strategies on how to find deals in the market. Because, you know, it's funny, I always hear the story that, oh, the market's drying out or there's no inventory. There's a lot of inventory out there, guys, but you have to get creative. You can't just be your traditional style of marketing. You have to, you know, listen to all the information that's been told throughout this event, and you gotta, first of all, put it in your mind. Second of all, get very creative, okay? And so I'm gonna show you guys how you can close 2 to 3 more deals a month by using other people's money, okay? So, 4 strategies that we use that still work every day. Cold calling. This is a huge strategy that through times have always been very strong. Cold calling has been, back in the days, one of the most powerful tools, and today more than ever, I believe cold calling is becoming more powerful. Why? Social media has separated us as people. So not everybody do they get to talk anymore. They don't get to talk. They get text messages. They get emails. They don't get that face-to-face or that phone call conversation. So I believe if you guys get a list of properties, right? So look for absentee owners. Look for probates. Look for list pendants. These are lists that are high-quality leads that you can convert. And if you get on the phones and you dial, and you just dial until you get somebody to raise their hands, you guys will find that property you want to invest in, okay? Bandit Signs. This is another great model to work. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but bandit signs are those yellow signs that you see on the streets. You guys have seen them before, right? Perfect. So these signs work, just you got to do them very strategically. You want to try to do in a corner where there's a lot of traffic. You want to try to put about 24 signs because you want to try to lead the person. So if they drive by and they see one and they missed it, you want to try to lead them right before they put a stop, right? Before they get to the stop sign. So the way we do it and the way it works is get, let's say, 87th Avenue and Coral Way. Try to put 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, and 2 and 2. That way you bombard a corner that's going to have high activity of traffic. Now, another great thing is driving for dollars. I don't know if anybody's ever heard this before, but this is a very creative way to find inventory for yourself as the investor, if you're looking to get into it, but also to be able to sell to your investor clients. Driving for dollar means you gotta stop, driving home the exact same way. So us as human, we're very repetitive people. We fall into habits. Unfortunately, sometimes they're bad habits, and sometimes you create very strong habits. Well, most of us, if I were to tell you how do you drive home, you would probably be very confident in the way you do it. You would tell me, I get on the road, I get on 87th Avenue, I go to, I make a right on 16th, I make a left to my house, right? The reality is if you keep doing that over and over, it doesn't give you the ability to look for deals. We're looking at inventory, guys. We're in real estate, and real estate is all over the place. Everything, we're standing inside of real estate right now. We live in real estate. We eat in real estate. We're always looking at real estate. So what I recommend to everybody, and I do it myself all the time, instead of going home the exact same way, I actually make a right through a block, and I start looking for houses in distressed situations. What does that house look like? Anybody that has a boarded up window. During the hurricane, it's a little bit tougher to do that, all right? So don't go door knocking every house with a boarded up window. But boarded up window, high grass, beat up cars in the front. These people tend to be in a position that most of the time they don't even believe they would sell to anybody because they don't think anybody would buy it. But as a cash buyer, these are the deals that we feed on. So I literally, when I go somewhere, instead of going the same way, I always take routes through neighborhoods, and I start writing the address, and then obviously I don't think we have the time to be able to share with you how we do it, but then we skip trace them, and we find out who they are. All of this is public record, guys, so don't worry, you're not going to get busted. But you go and you start finding out who's the owner, find out who's the number, and then you call them. And it's a simple question. Hey, how you doing? I was driving by your neighborhood. My wife and I, my husband and I, my brother and I, my sister and I, were thinking about buying a home. Would you be interested in selling for cash? Real quick. Now, again, guys, it's a very profitable system if you just continue doing it all the time. Now, door knocking, and this one I'm going to share a real quick story before I pass it on to my partner. And I want to share with you guys how much this works, but how creative you guys got to get. So this is one of my first deals. One of the first deals I ever did was through a door knocking experience. And the way I did it is I actually put out Bandit Signs, and I found an investor that was a developer. You probably have seen his sign. It's CWV Developments. He does the twin homes in Coconut Grove. And I remember I'm talking to this gentleman, and he starts telling me, hey, I'm looking for this type of house in this type of area at this type of price. And so I went to this house that was in Coconut Grove. It was a 15,000 square foot lot. It was an odd lot, so it wasn't the traditional lot. But he had told me I'll buy the 5,000 square feet lots for $250,000. So I said, wow, 15,000 square foot lot, 250,000 times 3. I calculated the numbers. So I remember I knocked on this lady's door, and it was a little wood shack, beat up house. And this is where I'm going to teach you guys, you got to be persistent, because persistence will, win 100% of the time, right? If you're persistent, you'll win. Think about it. Who's the most persistent person? Children. And most of the time, they get what they want, right? So you got to get back to your childhood style. So I remember I knocked on the door. They had like a metal fence. The door was wide open. And I would knock on the door, and the lady wouldn't respond. So I got to the point that I just started having conversations with her without her knowing I was talking to her through the door. I would say, hey, how are you, Mrs. Blank? I'm over here again, knocking on the door and finding out if you would be interested in selling your house. It didn't happen. Next week I came, knocked on the door. I would hear the TV on, so I knew she was there. I would write a little letter. Hey, how are you? This is Mike. I'm interested in buying your house. Didn't happen. We went on for 3 months doing this because I was committed. I wanted this deal. 15,000 square feet. I was going to be able to wholesale it to my investor. I was perfect. I wasn't going to be the buyer on this one. It was my beginning stages, but I was going to make some money on it. And I remember I'm in my office, and I'm talking to a friend of mine, and she tells me, Mike, what is this? Who's the client? I'm like, it's a woman. I go, what do you think I should do? She's like, have you ever thought about putting up flowers? Buy her flowers. I'm like, buy her flowers? What do you mean buy her flowers? She's like, just buy her flowers and put it outside. I'm like, all right. I invested $30 in a set of roses. I went, I door knocked, I saw her car there. It's a little creepy. I'm a little creepy sometimes, but it is what it is. The car was there. I knock on the door, and I tell her, hey, Miss Blank, I'm here again. I hope you and I can speak because I'm interested in buying your home. And I wrote this letter, and I left her the bouquet of flowers. The next day, I get the phone call. She tells me, you know how many investors are after my property? But nobody has been creative like you to send me a set of flowers. 4 months later, I close that deal, and we make $92,000 on a wholesale. So guys, was it worth getting creative and being persistent? Yes. So, these are 4 strategies that still work, guys. And as if you guys want to become investors, we want to show you now, and I want Gabriel to share with you guys how you can leverage the private lending and how you can leverage using other people's money, and actually with friends and family, how you can raise some capital and actually buy your first rehab property. All right, guys, so I'm going to pass it over, and then he's going to talk to you finances. He's a lot more trustworthy, and I want him to just warm you guys up.
Well, guys, thank you so much. So I want to talk to you a little bit about privatelender.com and what we're doing to help investors every day accomplish what they want to do, which is either purchase investments, fix and flip, get into rental properties to create passive income. So those are one of the big things. But one of the other things is a lot of agents, what we try to really do is offer certainty of close. Okay, we're working with agents that they're sitting there and they're saying, you know what, I'm not going to make my commission unless this buyer closes. And so the biggest thing that we're trying to do that's different than a lot of guys out there is we understand the market as investors. Mike and I have been investors in the personal space. We've built from the ground up. We've done a lot of fix and flip in single family and multifamily, and we've worked remotely. So we've purchased properties in other places in Florida and in other places around the country and have been able to rehab and help other people do the same. So one of the things that we think that is really powerful about how we approach private lending is we're looking at it from the standpoint of you guys, right? We're sitting there and thinking about how can we structure the deal. And as an attorney, I'm sitting there and thinking, hey, how do we make this deal work for our investors. How do we offer that certainty of close so that 2 to 3 days prior to closing, you're not getting a panicked phone call from your buyer saying, my private lender just abandoned me and I'm not sure if I can close on this property. That is something that we want to help you avoid. Another big thing that we want to start talking to you about is, hey, how do we create additional revenue sources for you guys? And so whether it's helping you become an investor yourselves, right? Because I think everybody would agree that it's a lot easier to raise a smaller amount of money than a large amount of money. And so like if you start to think about it, hey, I'm buying a property and I can raise 20% rather than 100% of what I need in order to purchase this home. Obviously, we would all agree that that's easier. It's much easier to raise $50,000, $60,000 than $300,000. So we're here to help you make your dreams come true by getting you into this space. And then when you get to that point, we're also here to help you roll into products like 30-year private loans where you're not going through everything that you normally have to go through in a conventional deal so that you can start creating that portfolio of rental properties that you guys have been thinking about. But another thing that we want to help you guys do is have another income stream. And so one of the things that we typically do with a lot of, real estate agents is they're sitting there and saying, hey, I just spoke to so-and-so and they are interested in investing. And as long as you have a company legally, because this isn't the typical lending space, we are legally permitted to pay you for that referral. And so often people sit there and say, oh, I've just been referring my clients to XYZ private lender, and I'm just happy to go ahead and make the deal close. And I think that's important as well. That's the primary goal that you should all have, is getting the deal to the closing table, helping your clients, providing value to them. But one of the things that we could also do is create an income stream for you guys where you can earn money by working with those investors and giving them an alternative source of private lending. So we have our website, privatelender.com. We have a lot of resources there. And we also are available. As you can tell, Mike and I are always available to go ahead, pick up the phone, talk about the specifics of the deal, and help you guys really structure. I mean, what I think that's most important is I sit there and work with people to structure a deal so that they can get to the closing table. So if a client's calling, we're going to sit there and say, hey, I'm not just a typical salesperson. I'm going to go ahead. I understand the issues that are, the challenges that sometimes come up in a title commitment or whatever it may be, and we can work through those issues so that you can get to the closing table and, ultimately get the deal done. So again, check us out at privatelender.com. Feel free. We'll give our phone numbers out right now. My phone number is 305-308-8383.
He's a good guy. I'm not doing that. All right, I'm going to give you guys an example really quick to finish this off. So most of you guys, I don't know if your mind, thinks about investments in a certain way, but if you guys look at the TV right there, I'm going to share with you guys how simple it is. Because a lot of people might think, oh, I have to become an investor, so I have to raise $250,000. It's wrong. You don't really have to have all that money. What you have to learn how to do is use OPM, right? Other people's money. So if you guys look at this example, there's a purchase price of $175,000, right? So typical loan that we would offer you would be 80%. So now when you come to think about that, you say, wow, okay, 80%. So you're telling me with $35,000, I can come in and purchase this property. It's literally that amount of money. So what we're trying to do is we're educating people, not only because I know what it can do for us, but we want to educate you because I'm sure everybody out there can sit down with mom, dad, abuelita, their cousin, their wife, and come together and put together maybe $50,000, $60,000. So in this example, we're using $175,000 purchase price, which is your typical house, let's say in Miami Gardens or in Homestead. And then they're going to do the breakdown of an 80% loan, so that's $35,000. So we're looking at a $37,000 down payment that we actually have to put in. After all the points and everything that we have to do, we're looking at a total of a $75,000 investment to be able to buy that property, fix that property, and sell that property. But what I want you guys to look at is the actual profits. So if that deal went through and you were to make $43,000 of profit, your cash on cash return is 57%. So if you did this in a time span of 6 months, you guys would be making 57% of $75,000 that you have probably sitting in the bank right now, making 0.0008%. Now, it is going to take a little bit of courage. It's going to take a little bit of confidence. It's going to take a little bit of surrounding yourself with the right people. But I want you guys to put in your mind that with $75,000, you guys today can become an investor by leveraging private loans. And not many people see that. People always think they got to make that money or they got to have all that money. So we wanted just to share with you guys that if you and your family or your friends can raise $75,000, you guys can buy your first investment property and make a 57% return on your cash, on your cash, right? I don't know why I said cash so many times.
And it could be less than $75,000 as well. Not every property is.
Right. I'm just sharing with you guys a very simple example here so you guys can get in your mind that if I did the hard work and I did the door knocking and I actually went out there and I made my phone calls and I find this deal, that's going to give you that opportunity to make an investment. Guys, if you do this deal twice a year, you're making what? About $80,000 on a $70,000 investment. If you guys don't see that on something that you guys can get excited about, I don't know what else we can share with you guys. So, everybody, let's get excited about it. I think this is a great strategy for you guys to get in there. Don't be afraid. Reach out to us, and we'll help you out with anything that you guys have.
Thank you very much.